What's happening, guys? It's been a little while. I had a change of job, a few problems. But yeah, here we go, we're back at it. So this little job here, just got a Saniflo. Called out to send it wasn't working, but it wasn't making any noises or anything like that, so I wasn't quite sure at first. Maybe it was blocked or whether it was just completely dead. So I checked out the electrics, I was getting power to it. So I just assumed it was probably jammed. The thing I'd say with Saniflos is, don't be afraid of them, just charge more money. I mean, I don't really mind doing Saniflos because if they're that bad, you just replace it, and everybody don't want to touch them. So you just charge plenty of money and get it done. You know, they're not too hard. So I'm starting to look inside it, and I was thinking there's something in there, like some plastic thing. So just trying to give the blade a spin. Obviously be careful with these because they are actually quite sharp. And obviously if you're going to get a cut, you don't want to get a cut around the crap that's going to be obviously in there, all the germs and stuff like that. So I'm just trying to get a bit of plastic out. I don't know if you can just see it there. I wasn't sure if it was like deformed or if there was something stuck there. I mean, probably trying to prise it away probably wasn't the best idea. You know, you might get a little splashback or something like that. I probably should have got out the long nose pliers at this point. I just pulled it straight out. So yeah, I was just having a bit of a struggle with it. Definitely should have got the pliers out. So that's it, that's what it was that was jamming it. I was looking at it, I thought it kind of looked like a cap off of a rad valve. That's what I thought it was for a couple of minutes. So I quickly just looked at the tail rad, but that had 2 chrome valves on it. So God knows what it was. Just making sure there now, but the blade spins. Lovely. And that's going to be pretty much it really. Put it back together, easy money. But yeah, as I said, just don't be afraid. When somebody rings up and says they got a Saniflo, and you say, oh no, I don't do Saniflos, or get Saniflo out or something like that, they've probably had that 5 times already. So everybody knows people don't want to work on them, so you just charge more money to do it. Because at the end of the day, it's not the greatest job, but it's never going to be a hard job. You know, you're either going to unclog it or it's going to be dead pretty much. So yeah, we just pop it back together. I've got another video lined up as well of a job that I just been to today. Went and bloody fitted a brand new Triton T80Z fast fit shower. Turned it on, it started getting warm. Left, got a bloody call back, oh the shower don't work, it's freezing cold. Went back around there, bloody tested it all out, and the thermal cutout, is it, on the top, or the thermostat, I think it's just like an overheat thing in it, the thermal cutout, that had basically bloody failed. So I called up Triton, and well no, this is the other bit of it actually. The customer, he actually had a thermal cutout that would fit that shower, because he'd already bought one that he wanted me to fit to his old shower, but it didn't fit, so that's why I went and got a new shower. Anyway, it turns out this bloody thermal cutout I got off Amazon does actually fit on the Triton, so I put it on there temporarily and thought, sweet, we got it up and running. Gave bloody Triton a ring, and they had to try to say to me, because I fitted a different part, it wouldn't be under warranty. So I was like, well, but the shower's brand new, why could it not be under warranty? And then it was like, oh, but what we're going to do is, we're going to do you a favour, and we're going to send you out the part so you can go back around there and fit it, and then we'll put the warranty back on it. Cheeky fuckers. absolutely shafted by them. So I had to drive back there an hour today to figure out what the problem was, do the temporary fix, drive back home for an hour, email Triton to be send me out the spare part, then have to drive back there for an hour, fit it, and drive back for an hour. Absolute fun. This goes to show it always gets passed on to the engineer, doesn't it? The big companies never really want to swallow it. So I'm going to probably try and avoid Triton showers now. That's a bit of a bad experience. And obviously, as you know, whenever you're fitting parts, it's not only about fitting a part that's going to be working, it's about getting good customer service. So yeah, I'll be putting that one up probably next week. So yeah, just giving my screwdrivers a little clean off. I always try and do that. The chances are, next time you'll pick it up and you won't remember what you did with it. So I went around this job and I was doing the boiler service, and they said they sometimes smell gas out the back of the house and out the front of the house. So I said, well, obviously ring up SGN. Did a tightness test, it was all passing, so I left. Then they ran back up saying I can smell gas at the boiler. So I was like, really? So I went back round there, tested it all again, still no drop. But then obviously, because they said they were smelling gas still, I just went around and double checked everywhere and found that bloody flexible hose on the hob, so I just isolated it. Here we've got Valent. I think if you're gonna do the air integrity on any boiler, obviously you should do it on all, but I know a lot of people don't, and if you don't, do it on every Valent, because the chances are it's probably passing through. So just getting this one to ramp up a bit. As you can see now, it's just starting to drop. So obviously the flue seal's gone, probably the one on the bloody turret. Obviously the lowest you can go is 20.5. This one, somebody had recently done the boiler swap, put new zone valves in, all that kind of stuff, and he wasn't getting any heat in. So I went around, had a little look. The valve was really stiff. So I thought it was a bit weird considering it wasn't that old. I think the valve's probably only about 6 months old. So just a quick few little checks. Just basically making sure you're getting power on it, making sure power's going out, stuff like that. So it just wouldn't budge whatsoever, it just wouldn't budge. So then I was thinking, I wonder if they just fitted a new head on an old body.
So of course testing it, just have the heating on, which is the last thing anybody wanted during which was extremely hot outside.
So let's quickly get this head off. With these valves as well, you do get some of the old Honeywell valves. They don't have like a oval shape on top of the metal bit. So you know like the metal casing that you undo to get access to it all.
Fine.
Have you ever seen one without that dimple on it? Don't be trying to take the head off of it. And also if they've got 4 screws that undo on the plate to get the head off, don't undo that either, because it will just all come undone. So anyway, the problem is the synchron motor
no, that's fine. That's just
burnt out for some reason, which is strange because as I say it's only about 6 months old. So you're just going to uncrimp it. Obviously, buy yourself a bit of crimping set, I guess. It's going to be on the list, just not bought one yet. Right, here's a little trick for you if you didn't know it. If you get a screwdriver and you rub it on a magnet, I just used the one out of a TF1 filler, it actually makes it magnetic, which will come in handy when you're taking these screws out. When you're putting them in, it's a bit better than not magnetic, but it's a little bit tricky because it starts trying to stick to the casing. But when you're taking them out, they're awkward to kind of grip and get out.
On the,
so if you just rub your screwdriver on a magnet, it'll make it magnetic for you. It just makes it quite a bit easier.
Normally weekday daytime, there's like this space up there.
Yeah, and then just crimp these together.
Yeah. So you get more cars in it.
It doesn't matter which way around you put these, as long as you don't put the motor wires together. Obviously then it won't work, and you don't put the other two wires together because then it'll bang. I've actually done that before. God knows how I did it. I think I was just in a mad rush. Yeah, that's that one. You can often tell when the synchron motors are gone as well just by feeling a valve. Obviously, if you go feel the head of the valve and it feels absolutely baking up, and the it's just not really able to open, you pretty much know obviously it's got power on it, it's just not opening. Therefore you know it'd be a faulty one. There we go, I'm just getting that on there. I often think with sound valves that they need to make like an easier way to replace them. You know, maybe where it's got like a plug and play type lead, just that kind of stuff. You know, and obviously on the synchron motors, maybe instead of crimping them, we just kind of plug them in. So we've got a Valen F83. It's basically saying the gradient's too wide apart. I think if it's above 30-degree difference, then it does it, but don't quote me on that. It might be a little bit less. So what they said is they're getting F83 come on the boiler intermittently. So I had a little look around. It's on a microbore system. It's got a manual bypass that I think was a 15mm ISO valve. But when I started questioning them on like how they use it and stuff like that, they basically said they have all the radiators off except for the bathroom towel rod, which they have on continuously, so they can dry all of their clothes in the bathroom. So I mean, if you're getting F83, I mean, it's either it's not able to get rid of the heat, or it's just some kind of blockage or something like that. You know, like a restriction. So yeah, I was just trying to run it, just kind of see just what would actually happen after I reset it, to see if it would do it instantly or not. So this is the bathroom rad. I think this was the bathroom rad, so I'm going to take it off. So as you can hear, when this bathroom towel rad thing shuts down, it's going to make that clunking noise. So straight away I'm thinking, right, they're only using that bathroom rad, and it's got TRV on here. It obviously gets up to temperature and it shuts down, and then it causes the F83. So I asked the lady, does she ever hear that clunking sound that I was just making when I was closing down the valve, and she said yeah. So straight away I'm thinking, right, well, we figured this one out. So what my plan is going to be is to leave that TRV head off of that bathroom radiator, and then range rate the boiler down quite low. Obviously I was trying to go low, but not too low that you end up getting a call back, and not too high that, you know, it's probably just going to be exactly the same. So I kind of just settled on that there. Didn't really mess around with the flow temperature or anything like that. And that's it. Now this one was a funny one. Went in the room and I was like, oh, that's weird, it's got thermostat and another thermostat. But it turns out it was a bloody what is it? It was a frostat. So he's got a bloody frostat next to the thermostat in the hallway. And I said to him, what's that doing there? And he said, well, when he used to go away, the pipes used to freeze, so they fitted that frostat there. I tried explaining to him how it wouldn't work, but he just wouldn't have none of it, so we just left it be. This one here, it's just changed to 2 parts. This is what I usually generally do. I don't mess around on doing nuts, whether it be a 2-part or a 3-part. I just swap out the ball and plate and put a new head on them. So you've got 2 little dimples here and 1 dimple on that side. Make sure you put the dimples in the right bit, or if you don't put the dimples in the right bit and you try and tighten it up, it won't properly seal. Even though it could feel tight, it won't actually seal and it'll leak. So this system's just basically bunged. I've just done the other valve already. And the other valve was really tight into the cylinder, so you wouldn't want to be undoing that on a bloody cylinder that's maybe 30 years old. It's just not what you want to be doing. It's a very good method for 3 parts as well. You know, sometimes you get a 3-part and it's really close to the bloody cylinder. It's all crusty and looks like it's maybe leaked at some point. Swapping out the ball and plate is the one. I think you can actually buy ball and plate kits online as well. But often I just charge them for a full valve and swap out the ball and plate and the electronic side, the head. Also, it doesn't matter whether it's a 28 or 22mm ball and plate or anything like that, it all just fits. What was this one? This one was... I wanted to try and run the boiler without the bearing plate and with the bearing plate and see what kind of difference it was. See whether it threw it right out or not. See, we got it in maximum. And what we're going to run about 9.5 CO2. I'm just going to give it a little run on max and min, and then we're going to take out the bearing plate, double check it again, and then we just bang the bearing plate back in there, providing it's obviously okay. So another person said if you take out the bearing plate, then the readings go absolutely crazy. Which I don't really fully think they would go crazy unless it had been adjusted for a faulty bearing plate, and then obviously you fit a new one, your reading's obviously going to be way out. But I think if the bearing plate was okay, in good conditioning, working as it should, I don't see why taking that out would make the readings go massively different. Maybe a bit of a difference obviously, because there is a bit of a restriction caused by it, and obviously with it out it's going to be slightly less. But anyway, I just wanted to test it out just from my own bloody sense really, just so I know. That's the bearing plate out. Just going to nip it all back up. It's back on. Just got a new analyzer as well, the 458S. It's a lot lighter than this bloody thing. This thing feels like a bloody brick compared to the new 458S. Only takes 3 AA batteries as well, the new one. It's just starting to ramp up. It's starting to get there. It looks like we're maxing out about 9.3. So yeah, it's not a massive difference. Obviously a little bit of a difference there, but it's not extreme. I think obviously if you've got one that was faulty, maybe it was stuck, and you know somebody's adjusted the life out of it, and then maybe you go fit your new one that fully opens. Obviously it might then be way out. So it's actually maxed out at 9.4 on it. Yeah, there's not a lot in it really. So you put it on minimum. I think in minimum it was maybe like 0.2 or something like that, maybe, if I remember right. Yeah, it isn't a massive amount either way. Obviously you always have it in there though, you know, they put it in there for a reason. Just letting it settle, making sure it's settled. Getting there, it's almost there. So yeah, I think we're going to call that done. Yeah, there you go. Taking it out, it's not a massive amount of difference. So I'm going to pump up the vessel now. Another little tip actually, if you release the air out the vessel and the pressure goes down, you know obviously your expansion hose isn't fully clogged up, because it's able to take pressure from the other side of that expansion vessel hose and release it through the Schrader valve. Obviously if you release pressure from the expansion vessel and the normal boiler pressure doesn't budge, you know you've obviously got a blockage in that hose as well. This was a little bit here, so what happened is, this is the same boiler. When I put the under tray on and I turned on the boiler, it just went off. So I was thinking, what's really going on? And it turns out that the wiring there, when you put on the under tray, because it wasn't properly in, it was all in bloody twin and earth and all that, like pulled it out of the block, so I just put it back in there. This was a little install I was doing. Just show you how to do how to get the most out of a boiler box. Take the top off, turn it upside down, put the cardboard in it, and then put these straps underneath it, one at each end, and then you basically have a free bin. Get that one over there, pop the other one on the other side. That's it. That's a little tip there out of hold open and blue filling links. Let's get a piece of copper, wedge it on there, and it'll hold it open for you. Got to watch out with them as well, because you need quite a high working pressure to be able to get the correct flow rates out of the boiler when you're using them ones. So that's something to bear in mind if you're going to fit them. You might actually be better if you've got low pressure to fit a external filling link. It's just a few less restrictions to go through. So this toilet, concealed toilet, it was overflowing into the pan. So obviously it's either the siphon letting by, or the siphon not maybe sitting correctly, or the inlet valve obviously failing. So I had a brief little look in there. Still like it more the siphon. So it's just a case of trying to figure out how you're going to get them apart. I mean, even on them face plates, some of them you lift up and then they pull off, some of them you might push down, some of them you might push to the right or to the left. So just be gentle, because obviously if you break it, they're going to want you to take it. Now the size of this siphon is bloody ridiculous. I actually had to take the top part out to be able to lift it out. It's a bit unusual. Most time you can just pull them out and they will actually come out in one. But you had to take off like the button type mechanism. So I was just kind of sitting that back on there quickly while it's still fresh in my mind, because it's so easy to take some off and then be struggling thinking, how does that go back on there? So the washer, it's a little bit crushed there, wasn't the worst. Didn't actually have any bubbles in it though. The washer actually felt quite good quality, felt like very thick rubber. So I just gave it a bit of a clean off and then we'll try and pop it back in. If you're ever struggling to find siphons as well, there's a good few internet sites online, but what I usually do is I'll go onto Google and I just search for maybe, green and yellow toilet siphon, and I just go onto images and I just flick through images, page after page, and eventually you'll more than likely find it. That's the isolation valve there, open, stop and start the water. So it's a bit crap really. You have to literally put the siphon in, lift it up a little bit and then click this mechanism on. It's a joke. So I've just kind of got it sat back in there. What you sometimes find is that little mechanism I was just playing with there that kind of holds the siphon down. Sometimes you've got to find the right spot with it and make sure it's properly clipped in, because if it's not, it'll hold the siphon off centre. And then you might still find it passes by, so you might put a new washer on. You might even really put a new entire siphon in there. And that retainer bit that holds it down, it might not just be sat right, and it'll make it keep overflowing. Some of them, even the push button screw lengths as well, they have to be bang on, otherwise they'll make it overflow a little bit as well. This I just thought it was quite funny. I've just got a bit of tap, and they had it ordered and delivered, and the box is absolutely massive. Look at the size of that box just for this little bloody tap. It's unbelievable. It's just a bloody waste. I mean, what do you need a box that big to really put one set of dimming basin taps in it? So yeah, I'm just going to swap these out. It's on a combi, it's on isolation valves, so just turn off the isolation valves and all that should do is got my little tap fixing kit there. I've not quite bought the Nerad one yet. This thing does perfectly fine. Is it the best quality? No. Does the ratchet eventually fail on it? Yeah, but you know, has it got me out of the crap a lot of times? Yeah, it has. And most of the time it'll fit on it. There's a couple of nuts though sometimes it doesn't fit on. It's not the back nuts, it's like the connector nuts. You get some strange sized ones that it just won't go on. But that's just done doing that. The majority of times I can actually get taps off just with your bare hands. Just grab hold of the nut, spin the tap, that'll slacken that off. Grab the back nut, spin the tap again, that's your back nut off. But this was obviously been on there for quite a while, so I had to undo it properly. Little look in there. That one's got loads of PTFE in it. The other one's had the fibre washer in it. So what I've decided to do, because I see there was quite crapped up, I just thought I'd undo it off the top of the isolation valve, pull the pipe out in mind and give them a good clean off. So yeah, just going to scrape off this PTFE. And then we'll get the other one out as well. Obviously put on your new fibre washers. And it'll be good as gold. You know it's going to be, it's going to be bang on. It isn't going to leak. Once you clean that off and put a new fibre washer on, it'll be perfect. This is the other side that had the fibre washer in. Just trying to pull down the nut so I could access the fibre washer easier, but it won't pull down. So just give it a little tap. There we go, that should get that out of the way now. Bit of access. And yeah, give it a little scrape off. Got the top hats. I always try and have top hats on the van, so I will fit them. I do find they make the taps rigid without any hassle whatsoever. But I've had it before with basin taps, and you put them on, and you're trying to tighten them up, and you absolutely wring the life out of it, and you can still give it a bit of a nudge. Whereas with top hats, you don't even have to tighten them, and they feel solid. So yeah, that's it really. Nice little set of basin taps. Obviously, a top tip here: clean out your sink. If you're going to charge good money and fit some nice, beautiful, sexy taps, and the sink's a shithole, they don't feel like they're getting the value for money. When they walk upstairs and they've got nice shiny taps on a nice shiny sink, it just makes it look $1 million, and that's why you're then worth the money that you're charging for the job. So I always try and do this, whether it be a kitchen sink or a bloody basin. If I do the tap and the sink's a bit grimy, I give it a little swill out, give it a clean off, and it just makes the job look better, and it makes you stand out, and it makes them know why they're paying good money for you to do the job. And they'd be amazed the amount of people that'll just fit your tap and they don't do anything else to try and make it look half decent. So here we are, we've got a overflowing toilet with a, what is it, I think it's armated shanks in it. Is it armated shanks? It could maybe the ideal standard do it, I think they both maybe share it, I'm not sure. Anyway, I'm going to say it's armated shanks. I think they do a couple of different heights of this one as well, so watch out for that. With the pneumatic ones with the air buttons that look like this, I know they definitely have different heights of that one, so if you ever taken one out, give it a bloody measure, because you might go get the wrong one. A little twist out there, like a bayonet. Turn them upside down. The amount of times I used to pull these things out when I first started, and then put it upside down to look at it, and that's so wet. It's unbelievable. So as you can see, quite scaled up and a bit battered off that corner. I mean, once the rubber starts to deteriorate and fail like that, you know it's gonna. The other thing is, obviously, if you're touching the rubber and you're getting black stains on your hands, then it's a goner as well. Right, so that's looking like it's it for that one. Also, in the next room, they said when they turn on the basin tap, they're getting like groaning noises. So in a minute, we're going to turn on the basin tap and we're going to see what kind of noises that we get. And then we'll give that a little quick up as well. So we're just letting it fill up and make sure it shuts off nicely and it's not overflowing or anything like that. And carry on. There we go, we're almost there. And I think we're going to call that done. Come back in a minute anyway and just double check it. Make sure nothing funny's going on. Right, so you can hear the noise there. Now, if you ever get a noise from a tap, don't assume it's that tap. First thing you want to do is run around all the taps and see if there's any tap that's dripping. Obviously, if you've got a dripping tap, it shouldn't be dripping. It should be impossible for a tap to drip or to be made to drip just by simply opening up another tap. So I know it's not the basin tap, it's actually the kitchen tap which is faulty. Because by opening up the basin tap, it somehow enables that kitchen cold tap to pass. And obviously when I was moving around the hot lever there, it was just changing the noise as well. Now I popped down the shop, tried to get hold of a deck mixer, they didn't have it. So alright, fair enough, I'll bloody do tap revivers. I didn't even bloody have tap revivers. So I was like, I had to drive half an hour to the shop as well, and it was bloody, going to be an half an hour back. So I thought, what I'll do just to get it done today, I'll buy a set of basin taps, and then I'll use them for tap revivers, and I'll fit them to basically get it fixed today, so it's done and dusted. So we're just going to swap out this hot one. Just give that a little unscrew. Sometimes the screws, they're a little bit too tight. Find if they're a little bit too tight, if you get a small flathead, give it a smack in there with a hammer and hopefully it bites into it and you might be able to undo it. If not, sometimes just destroying the handle and unwinding out the cartridge with the handle still on it can work. So that's our hot one out, which is the faulty one. And this is our basin taps that we've had to buy just to use for tap revivers. Right, so that's the problem fixed. Now, this is where a lot of engineers now would go, oh, I'm done. Fix the problem, let's get out of here. But I'd always say swap both sides. Don't be lazy. People are paying you good money to try and do an half decent job, so don't just swap one side. One, you're gonna have one shiny handle and one not so shiny handle, and two, you've got the parts. It's gonna take you a couple of bloody minutes, and you're charging good money to do, an half decent job. So I always swap both sides. I'd say that if you're gonna go change a tap washer, change both sides. If you're gonna go swap out a cartridge and you have to order one, order a hot and a cold, and just do it. They both probably went in at the same time. and they're both probably going to start failing around the same time. So it just makes sense. So I think I just put on the wrong top, maybe. And I think I put it on, but I wanted the swan to be nice and across the valve. And that one I'd put on the wrong one, I'd put on the old buddy tap cover. So even just small details like that, to not have one swan, you know, horizontal and one bloody swan on the top bit to be like facing up. Just get them both to match. Just little things like that, people will notice. But yeah, that's it. That was quite a long one. I thought I'd make up for not being around for a little bit. If you like it, subscribe. You got any questions, comment. And yeah, I should have another video up next week at some point. Thank you very much.